Our Rediscovering Chester County tour along Route 23 from Bucktown to Alverson brings us to St. Peter's Village, and we're helping St. Peter's celebrate their Oktoberfest. During October of this year, in 1995, they have every weekend there's another program. Today they have a German festival here. Back in 1731, the Knauer family bought 12,000 acres that now is known as St. Peter's Village. Then it was known as the Falls of French Creek, obviously because the French Creek's behind us and because you can hear the falls as I speak. This was an iron and a mining town, and later in the 1850s they quarried black granite from this very spot that I'm standing. People from all over the area came here. In the 1880s and early 1920s, there was a railroad that came into St. Peter's, and wealthy people came here. Over the years, St. Peter was like the phoenix. It went down, it rose from the ashes, and due to a new regime who took over here 4 years ago, St. Peter's is making a comeback. Let's talk to Ed Snyder and some of the other people here in St. Peter's Village and help them celebrate Oktoberfest 1995. For those of us who remember St. Peter's back in the 60s and 70s when it was full of people and full of good music, remember St. Peter's then. St. Peter's is making a comeback. They had some legal and some insurance problems, and with me now is Ed Snyder, the present owner of St. Peter's Hotel. Ed owns several businesses here. Touch briefly on those legal problems, will you, Ed?
The legal problems are well documented in the area by a number of sources and relate primarily to accidents and deaths involving the French Creek waterway system and the quarry that is part of the St. Peter's Condominium Association.
Good. Now, I understand that there are some things that have changed here, and two things that have changed about the quarry and also about the rocks.
Right. The two primary changes are that the quarry has been bought out privately by the Pennsylvania Granite Corporation, and the French Creek waterway system has been donated to the Pennsylvania State Game Commission, and both of those entities have indemnified the town from any future lawsuit forever.
Terrific. And what that means is the reason why St. Peter's was not as full as it was in other times is because people couldn't afford the insurance, they couldn't afford the liability. So now that's all taken care of. Thanks to Ed Snyder and his wife, who have sort of helped this place rise out of the ashes like the phoenix. We're making a comeback. Ed owns three places here. Why don't you tell us what places they are, Ed?
Let's see. The first place that we undertook was the old polishing shed. It's now the Village Gallery Limited. It is a series of cabinet and furniture shops, and it's been in business 4 years here and doing quite well. Our second enterprise was the French Creek Quarters, which was an old bed and breakfast, which has since been converted to 19 apartment units, and they are at capacity with a waiting list to get in. Our third undertaking was the inn and the hotel itself, which is kind of the cornerstone of the whole village. Yeah. We took it over in mid-January, opened up in May, and we've got a tremendous amount of local support for the hotel and the festivities that we hand here on a weekly basis.
Good. We're here to help you celebrate your Oktoberfest,
right,
and to learn more about the village. I think one parting thing we should know about St. Peter's Village, everything is now owned by the people who are in there. It's a condo association.
That's right.
You want to touch base on that just a moment or so?
All of the buildings in the village, which previous to 2 years ago were always owned by a single person or corporation, are now all individually owner-occupied, meaning the person who runs a business in that particular facility actually is the owner of that building. And that's been the first time that's taken place in well over 100 years in this village.
Terrific. We're going to take a look through the village and talk to some of these people and enjoy Oktoberfest. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Thank you, Dave.
We're inside St. Peter's Inn. I'm with Elisa Snyder. Elisa has a very unusual story about why she and Ed bought this place. Why don't you tell us that, Elisa?
Okay. We bought this building about 9 months ago, January of 1995. And we bought it because it's an interesting architectural feature in the village. and very important to us as people who already owned other property in the village. So we bought it with the intention of repairing it and making it look
Good.
great again.
I think it's important to note, maybe we missed this when I talked to Ed, but he's a restorer and a woodworker, and you have a shop up at the Village Gallery.
That's right. We've done a number of buildings in the past.
That's terrific. That's a wonderful reason to do this. By the way, tell us about your hours and your buffet, and do you serve regular dinners?
Sure. We do dinners Wednesdays through Saturdays, and we start serving at 5:30. We go until about 10 o'clock. On Sundays, we do a very nice buffet that starts at noon and goes until about 6 o'clock. And frequently, we have bands on Sunday afternoons, live bands that we do either inside or outside, depending on the weather.
Good. And I understand you had a wine tasting dinner here the other day. And we're looking to do something like that in the future with the French Creek Ridge Vineyards. Elisa, thank you for being on the
Thanks
program.
very much.
Up until 1914, St. Peter's Village was known as Falls of French Creek, primarily due to the fact that the French Creek and the falls are right over to our left, with all the large boulders of granite and iron. If you were here in the 1960s when St. Peter's was restored as a 19th century Victorian enclave, then you remember Aunt Lena Knauer, who used to play the saw. Well, with me is her great-granddaughter, or no, her great, how do you pronounce that?
Granddaughter-in-law. I married
Granddaughter-in-law.
her grandson,
And
David Seal.
this is Janice Hauk, and Janice also plays the saw. There's a picture of Janice, and we'll see this again. Janice and Aunt Lena. Janice, tell us something about this wonderful person that you remember.
Okay. Well, I called her Grandmom Lena, and since I was 16, I was a companion to her because she was going blind. So in this photograph, which is in the taken in the 70s, she was just about blind. She could see shapes. But anyway, she'd make her way from her museum, which was down here in the where the old post office used to be, and walk down the street and play in the hotel every day and play along the way. She was a grand lady. She dressed up in these Victorian clothes with big plumed hats, and everybody loved her.
Everybody loved Aunt Lena.
Everybody loved her.
And she taught you how to play the saw.
Yes, I got a saw before I married her grandson. No, sorry, after I married her grandson. By the mail, it came, and 2 weeks before Christmas, so I worked at it to learn to do something, and by Christmas Day, we all got together and I played it for her.
Well, we're very lucky because Janice said she would give us a demonstration of playing the saw. Let's find that location.
Okay.
All right.
I can remember well when Grandmom would dress me up in her old clothes and have me do different things like the Charleston, when she'd put me in one of the old flapper dresses, and she put me in an old Indian dress that a friend of hers made, and her sister would play the piano and we'd all sing, and Grandmom would play the saw. I'm going to play something right now that Grandmom would have played back then during the hat shows, and this is Edelweiss.
Okay, the original building on this site housed mules and the bakery wagon and was built in 1960. Right now, it's owned by Shirley and Bob Mauger.
That's my son.
Your son.
Yes.
And now, Shirley, tell me, how did you choose the name? XNTP.
It's Xantippe.
Oh.
And it's Socrates' wife's name. And the definition in the dictionary is a shrewish, scolding woman.
Uh-oh. Gonna scold me, Cheryl?
No.
Okay, very good.
That's all right.
Cheryl, tell us something about your beautiful shop here.
Well, I have lots of things that I make. I love to sew, and it's all one-of-a-kind clothing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Jackets that I do from the upside-down jeans, actual jeans that are upside down, and skirts and vests
Oh,
and
that's great.
blouses and
How about your
whatever.
son, Bob? He has a...
He has the antique pinballs.
Okay.
He did that as a kid, and when he found this building and bought it, he was delighted because there's a huge room and he's got all he wants.
Good. Well, we'll come in and look at both your place and Bob's pinball machine. Thank you for
Okay.
being on our program.
Okay.
Postcards in my mind, moments out of time, among the gifts of memory. Places that I've been, places with a friend, places that are part of me. Waiting, wondering, watching, wondering, while I'm pondering where I'm going. Tears and laughter blend, broken hearts can mend. I'm so glad to have a friend like you.
Thank you very much, Jan and John Higas. We're here in downtown St. Peters. We're taking the Elverson Bank tour and rediscovering Route 23. What's the name of this place, John?
The Marvelous Megalithoscope.
Okay, what does that mean?
The name comes from the Greek mega, meaning large, aletha, meaning truth or reality, and scope, meaning to see. Literally, to describe truth as large. It was a viewing instrument like a Viewmaster viewer from the 19th century.
Very nice. Good luck to you guys, by the way.
Thank you. Come and visit us again.
Postcards in my mind, moments out of time, among the gifts of memory. Places that I've been, places with a friend.
Yeah, I'm following the St. Peter's walking tour guide, and we're downtown St. Peter's, and I'm with Carol Steyer. Carol, come on out here. This is the No Name place. Here it doesn't have a sign. Tell us something about your shop, Carol.
I have antiques and country crafts from local crafts
That's
persons.
wonderful. Good. Are you a local person,
Yes,
Carol?
I am. I live 5 minutes from here in Harmonyville.
Terrific. Harmonyville is one of my favorite places.
Mine
We're
too.
going to continue our tour, St. Peter's Village. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on the second floor of the Winey Bear in St. Peter's Village. Sally Winery. I'm sorry she's not here. She's in Pittsburgh with her husband at a bear clinic. Can you believe that? Well, anyway, Sally is known for making these Cuzzy can bears that fit in the palm of your hand. Do you know, I'm standing in the Fuzzy Bear Clinic, the Winey Bear Clinic. You can come and get your bears repaired here. And do you know that there's over 400,000 bear collectors in America? Come over and talk to Sally Winey and her husband and her children here in St. Peter's Village. She's nationally known. Okay, Building 13 on the walking tour of St. Peter's brings us to Rosie's Cafe. This is Rosie Rodriguez. Rosie, what does WC Division mean here?
Wilmington and Columbia Railroad Station.
That means that the railroad station went right through here?
Yes, they had the Cell Valley line that came through and then stopped off here. This is